When I was 8 years old, I loved watching the WWF, World Wrestling Federation. Every Monday night, I'd climb up on the couch with my stepdad, Ken, and we'd be screaming at the TV. But it never failed. My mom would be in the other room yelling at us. "Turn that stuff off, it's fake." Fake? We weren't watching a cartoon. These were real-life superstars. And one night, Ken surprised me with 2 tickets to go watch the show live. We show up to the arena, and we're so excited because our seats are right on the entranceway. Every single wrestler has to walk right past us in order to get to that ring. And now about halfway through the show, out comes stomping the Bushwhackers. But they stopped right next to me. I remember looking up at them so excited and nervous, and I raised my tiny little hand up there, and one of them high-fived me. But do you guys realize what just happened? You see, in professional wrestling, when somebody high-fives you, they tag you in. Fast forward 10 years later, at 18, I moved from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Hollywood to make my dreams come true of being a model. And after, waitressing for a few years, my agent calls me and says, "Hey, Candice, I'm not sure if you're interested in this or not, but the WWE is holding this, diva search contest. The winner's going to get $100,000 in a 1-year contract to wrestle." Heck yeah, I was interested. What that guy didn't know is I grew up with a Hulk Hogan doll instead of a Barbie doll. I auditioned, and I landed a 3-year deal. And that's when the hard work began. We would rent our own cars. We drove 300 to 500 miles a week. I performed 4 shows in 4 different cities in 4 days, 52 weeks out of the year. This isn't some fancy sport like basketball and football where you get private jets in an off-season. Our only off-season is injury, and nobody ever wants to be there. Regardless of this schedule, I got up and trained every single day for 3 years. And finally, I earned my championship match. Can you guys just imagine? 20,000 fans watching you live, and millions around the world. And I take her down. 1, 2, 3! The crowd roared as I held this title high for the very first time. And now, I was living the life of a champion. I got to travel the world, sign autographs, pose on magazine covers, but most importantly, I became that real-life superstar that got to walk down that entranceway and tag people into their dreams. As a champion, the number one question I always got asked is, isn't professional wrestling fake? Well, after wrestling hundreds of matches, the number one concept that has stayed with me to this day is this: risk is not fake. But we all have a fake side to us, right? Somebody says, "How are you doing?" Do you say good? Are you really good? Or is there a risk in telling somebody how you actually feel? Social media. I can't even get my own name on social media. There's so many fake accounts. It's filters, profiles. There's a risk in showing your real flaws and telling somebody how much you actually weigh. Fake IDs and the infamous fake news. There's a risk when we uncover the truth. So I invite you guys today to step into the squared circle with me as we body slam the 3 limiting beliefs on why people think professional wrestling is fake. First, they think it's fake because wrestlers don't get hurt. The truth is, we learned a bump. A bump is when you attack the mat. You land flat on your back, smacking the back of both of your arms simultaneously. Oh, don't forget to tuck your neck. Scientific studies have proven that every single bump a professional wrestler takes, it's equivalent to getting into a car accident at 30 miles per hour. Can you just imagine how we feel after one match? When I first started, I would rent this wrestling ring. It cost me $3 a day. And it was like half inside this garage and half out. And there were these broken down chicken coops over here. And a weird barking dog over there. And then the owner says to me, be careful for that part of the ring because the boards are broken. And I don't want you to fall through. Regardless, I got into that ring and I bumped over and over and over again. And when I would drive home after that session, I cried all the way home. I could barely turn my neck even an inch. And if you'd see the rope burns on my back, you'd think that somebody had beaten me. These are the things a professional wrestler will never tell you, and they will never show you. The bump is the fundamentals to any match, just as it is to any dream. The physical risk of learning the basics, it hurts. But with repetition, not only do you build up a callus to it and not feel it, you actually start to enjoy it. And this builds a strong foundation. Learn to bump. I took a boot to the face. It's a real broken nose. People think professional wrestling is fake because it's scripted. The truth is, we live our script. We create our own characters, and whether we're at the arena or we're in the airport, we live that same character every day. But the magic, it happens when you connect to your audience. And as long as they're cheering or booing, we have a job. Now, while traveling on the road with WWE, we would frequent stripper stores a lot in search of ring gear. And it was Halloween time, so there's a lot of costumes. And this costume has this flimsy star stripper wand. Well, I decided in that moment, I'm going to use this star wand the way the legendary Triple H uses his sledgehammer to defeat his opponents. I show up to the arena that day, and I go find my agent, Fit Finley, with my flimsy stripper wand. And I tell him and the other superstars in my match what I plan to use it for. You just knew they were all laughing at me. But that wand eventually turned into a steel weapon, and it did defeat many of my opponents. And a few years later, backstage, Fitz secretly asked me for an autographed wand. He said all his daughter had been asking him for the past year was a wand. When we discover our core values, we can build that character, and then you can live your script. But the emotional risk here, it's sometimes much more painful than the physical. Nobody wants to be laughed at, made fun of, or talked about behind their back. Live our script. Your ideas are worth sharing if they inspire just one little girl. People think professional wrestling is fake because the winners are predetermined. The truth is, WWE is our platform, and our hard work predetermines our win. Look at me, you guys. Fake hair, fake eyelashes, fake boobs. Do you really think that Vince McMahon looked at this model in Los Angeles and said, "That's my next champion"? No. But when I signed on my dotted line of that contract, I predetermined that I'd be the next champion. And it was a ton of work. The naysayers, every time I got into the ring and I botched a move or I made a mistake, our dirt sheets or the wrestling tabloids couldn't wait to blast it all over the internet about how I couldn't wrestle. And I'm sure at some point in your life, a parent, teacher, probably even a close friend, has said to you, you don't have what it takes to live that dream. You're not good enough. Well, only we can predetermine our win. And one day, they'll be buying a ticket to our event. Predetermine your win. Through hard work, that is a real dream come true. Now, a lot of people like to tap out at this level. You start to realize that there's a lot of physical and emotional risk that goes into making your dreams come true. But this is that pivotal moment when you earn the right to go to the top. But what's at the top? It's what everybody wants. It's where you find your authentic self. This is what I call top rope risk. The top rope is where all the high-flying moves happen. The audience just can't wait till you go to the top. Are you going to botch that move and land face first? Or are you going to soar and live your wildest dreams? I was on a 14-day European tour. I'd wrestled about 10 matches in 10 different cities and a few countries when we landed in Nebraska for Monday Night Raw. I was making history in the women's division. I went from doing a pudding and lingerie matches to a semi-main event. And I was trying everything in my repertoire to keep her down. Clothesline, spinning, clothesline, drop kick, spinning heel kick. I climbed up to that second rope, but nothing would keep her down for a 3 count. She was a bigger, stronger opponent over me, and I knew I needed to go to the top. I sauntered so tirelessly to that turnbuckle. I remember putting my first boot on the second rope, and I swung my other leg over, and my legs felt like cement, and my arms started to shake, but I pushed right through it up to the top. Bam! The next thing I remember is barely being able to see Stephanie McMahon leaning over me, saying, "Don't worry, your husband is being flown in." I knew this was real, because they never fly your husband in. The diagnosis that night was a concussion, and I shattered my collarbone, and it shattered my dreams of ever wrestling again. Risk is not fake. The definition of risk is exposure to danger or harm, but what it doesn't tell you is what's on the other side of that. And you're probably wondering, why in the world would I ever tell you to take a top rope risk when it not only landed me in that stretcher, but it ended my career? Let me just show you why. Please meet my 3 beautiful daughters. That's Aki, Rayumi, and my Aloha. The best title that I have ever held is mother. You see, professional wrestlers, we don't quit. And if I didn't go to that top rope, I never would have known how big the win is on the other side. So whether it's professional wrestling or real life, if you choose to learn to bump and live your script and predetermine your win, you earn your top rope risk. My friends, my champions, now it's your turn, and I tag you in. Thank you.